What's up, LIFEchurch360? My name is David Seta, and I get to be the youth pastor here. I want to tell you that LIFEchurch360 exists to help you build a life-giving relationship with Jesus. And it's done by four main principles that we live by. And that's to love God, invest in others, faithfully serve, and encourage the world. And I want to encourage you today to please like, share, and comment this message. I believe that God wants this message to go far beyond LIFEchurch360 walls, and it wants to reach people in our community and all around the world that need to hear the message of hope. We also have a podcast right now, so whether you're listening, let us know where you're listening from, who you're listening with, and please like, share, comment, and let us know who you're watching with today. We would love to hear your feedback on the message and just know how you are doing, so that's a great way to do that. If you want to stay connected with our kids program, our Go Kids 360 is sending out content every single day on their Facebook page, and also Canvas Youth. We have a YouTube channel now, so please subscribe to that. We have a message and an interview every single week at 7 o'clock, and I'm interviewing people from all around the world. I love you. I love serving with you, and I can't wait to come back to church and to be able to do this thing. But we do have the drive-in now, so please make sure that you come to the drive-in. And I wanted to take a moment to especially say to our seniors that are graduating, well done. Good job. I am super proud of you and excited to see where God takes you in this next season of life. Never give up. Never lose hope. Know that God is for you and not against you, and He's watching you, and He will make your path straight. I love you guys so much. I'm so proud of you. Feel free to reach out anytime that you have any questions or need any advice. I love you guys. Have an awesome week.
You are with me. What can separate us? You are for me. What can stand against us? Your love, it won't let go. I know it won't. Darkness, shadows have no power over me. Fear is breaking. Shame has no authority. Your love, it won't let go. I know Your plans for me are good, and I know you hold my future and my hope. Your promises never fail. Your promises never fail. Your promises never fail. Your promises never fail. Old things have passed away, but your love has stayed the same. Your constant grace
Hi, everyone. I just want to welcome all of you that are watching online. I am Kalona Seta, and I am the middle school director, the youth admin, and I've recently taken the role of media director as Caitlin is on maternity leave. And I just want to welcome all of you that are watching. And I just have to say, as somebody who has been putting the media together and has been, uploading videos and verse images and all this kind of stuff, I just have to say that you liking and sharing and commenting really does mean a lot. Not just to me or the staff around, but really the community. Because LIFEchurch360 stands to help people build a life-giving relationship with Jesus. And one of the ways that they can do that is by you sharing this stuff with them. Some of them may not even be people that know Jesus or even heard of him. But because of you doing that, it is helping them to become in relationship with him. So I just want to thank you. And I want to encourage you to continue to do that right now. Would you just like, share, and comment, and just allow the Holy Spirit to move within people's lives? So I just want to encourage you to do that. I'm going to pray before we dive into today's message. Jesus, I just pray, Lord, that you would just guide me on this message, God. That it wouldn't be my words that they're hearing, Lord. It would be your words. God, I just pray that people would understand what it is to walk through a furnace, what it means to come out on the other side, and God, who you represent. God, I pray that you would just work in their hearts, God. And I thank you, God, that we get to celebrate who you are together online, God. And I just pray, Lord, for the seniors that graduated this year, God. I just thank you that they got to graduate, that even though it wasn't what they thought, Jesus, you're still good. In your name, amen. So the last few weeks, we've been in this series called For the Good. And really what we've been looking at is how Jesus causes everything to work together for the good. And the theme verse for this series is Romans 8:28. And it says, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose." And really the key to this is that God causes everything to work together for the good. What this tells me is that he doesn't make bad things happen. He doesn't cause the bad to happen. But instead, he'll cause the bad to work for the good. He will show his glory. He will show you how he's using you and who he is. And really, this is something that I've really had to work on, because there's been times where I'm in the middle of this furnace or standing in a storm, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, how in the world am I going to get through this? I don't even know. This is so hard. I've never been through anything like it. You ask for advice and people try and guide you, but you're just sitting there and maybe you're listening to their story of how they got through it, and you're sitting there and you're like, can't relate, don't know. But in my life, I've had to look at the storms that I've already gone through and see how God has caused it to work for the good. How he's used me, how he's shown himself. And that's what encourages me to be standing in the middle of a storm and still point to him, still praise him and say, God, you are good. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for guiding me and leading me. And I know that some of you are wondering, are you called according to his purpose? That's a hard part in this verse to really understand if you don't know who God is. But I want to let you in on a secret. God created us in his image. He created man. And Jesus died on the cross for everybody. He died for those that know him. He died for those that don't know him. He died for everybody. And to me, and what this shows, is that you're all called according to his purpose. You all have a purpose for your life through him. So I just want to encourage you to pray over that verse. And in life, there are things that happen that are scary. It could be that some of you are starting virtual college in the fall. It could be that some of you are starting new jobs or just got laid off. It could be homeschooling or parenthood or marriage or feeling this chaos that's going around us. Either way, We are all in the place of the unknown. We are all sitting here wondering what is going to happen next. And in my life, a recent change that I've made is I got married in January. And I'm not going to lie, it's been hard. It's been really hard for David and I because we're sitting here wondering what's going to happen and how our lives are going to change through this. And it's been hard. We've had hard conversations. It's been super rewarding. And if you heard David's message a couple weeks ago, he tried to let you know that I've had to let a lot of things go. And although that might be true, he has also had to let a lot of things go. So don't let him sit there and fool you. It is both of us, not just one of us. But really, when we got married and when we were planning, people would sit there and say it's going to be really hard, and they would give us advice, or they would say it's going to be a breeze, and they would give us advice. And the advice that we were getting was going negative to positive, back to negative to positive, and it was like not consistent. So what we decided to do when we first started dating was to make God the center. Didn't matter what anybody else said, as long as God was in the center of our relationship and he was the one guiding us. So when we decided to get married, we said, okay, this is what's going to happen. We are going to continue to make God the center of our relationship, and we're going to pray that his will would be done for our lives. And it's hard. It's hard to trust God when there's chaos and when there's stuff happening or when you can't see what's going to happen on the other side. But at the same time, God says he will do imaginably more than we could ever guess or imagine. So it's kind of the fun part, right? We get to honor God, we get to pray, we get to have relationship with him, while at the same time, we don't know what's going to happen. But what we do know is that when we have courage, when we stick up for what we believe in, when we press on, it can be the most rewarding thing to see what he's going to do on the other side. Because let me tell you, 4 years ago when I first started coming here, never in a million years would I have guessed that I would be on the stage preaching to a congregation online in charge of media for a person that is not creative at all. So it has been challenging, but it has been good. And one of the many reasons why I love reading God's word is because we get to read these stories and personalize them. And in the Bible, we get to see, beginning to end, and it's hard to put yourself in the midst. But really, God is showing you who he is through these stories. And when we personalize them, we can see who he is. And so today, I'm going to talk about a story that many of you have probably heard many, many times. And it's the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And really what I love about this story is looking at God with faith and love and trust and faithfulness like these men did. And so we're going to look at the first few chapters of Daniel, and today's message is entitled, But Even If. So the backstory to this, just so in case you guys don't know, is that there's this king Nebuchadnezzar who goes into Jerusalem and just destroys it. And so the king defeats Jerusalem, and he looks and tells his men, I want you to go out and look for young men, and I want you to take them, and they're going to come with us as captives. So in Daniel 1:17, it says, select only strong and healthy, good-looking young men, he said. Make sure they are well-versed in every branch of learning, are gifted with knowledge and good judgment, and are suited to serve in the royal palace. Train these young men in the language and literature of Babylon. So hold on. These men didn't know the language. These men didn't know what they were going in for. They didn't know what was happening. All they knew is that this king had demanded that they be stripped of everything and that they follow him. Now, I don't know you guys, but for me, I would not be nice. Like, heck no, you just stripped me from everything I know. You're teaching me a new language. This is not what I signed up for. This is not what I know. And here you are, you're going to teach me a new language. And these men just show such loyalty to God in this. Because they're nice, like they're good, they're listening, they're praising God. And in Daniel 1:20, it says, whenever the king consulted them in any manner, requiring wisdom and balanced judgment, he found them 10 times more capable than any of the magicians and enchanters in his entire kingdom. So not only are these men knowledgeable and wise, this king is dismissing all of the people he already had and going to people that he took as captives for balanced judgment. So then the king ordered for a dream to be interpreted. And so he called an astrologer to come in and really tell him what his dream meant. He couldn't sleep at night because of it. So this astrologer is basically just buying time. He's saying, give me a couple days. And the king's like, nope, I want to know now. And so the astrologer just makes something up, kind of just tells the king what he wants to hear. And the king knows that it's not true and gets all mad about it. So he tells his people, his staff, go and kill the wise men. Now, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were part of the wise men group. And so these men are now having to defend themselves for something they didn't even do. In Daniel 2:13 it says, "And because of the king's decree, men were sent to find and kill Daniel and his friends." Now keep this in mind, because this is not the only time that they're going to have to defend themselves against the king. So Daniel goes and he goes home and he prays with his friends, and they're like, God, would you just show us what this means so that we don't have to die? And so God gives Daniel the interpretation of the dream, and he tells the king, Daniel goes to the king and tells him what he knows, and this is the king's reaction found in Daniel 2:47. It says, "The king said to Daniel, 'Truly your God is the greatest of gods, the Lord over kings and revealer of mysteries. For you have been able to reveal this secret.'" So the king believed Daniel. And so he was convinced that the God that Daniel served was amazing, and he just really pressed into that. So after Daniel is placed as a ruler of the province of Babylon and in charge of the wise men, so Daniel says, will you bring my friends up and be administrators? And he does. And so this is kind of how his friends get into their positions. So this gold statue in Daniel 3 is represented as part of his dream. And it's this massive gold statue that's just brought up. And so once the statue was put into place, this herald goes out and says, everybody must bow when you hear a musical instrument, and those who don't bow will be thrown into a blazing furnace. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were found out that they wouldn't bow. They were too loyal to God to bow to this gold statue that they knew didn't represent who their God was. So these men are officials of province of Babylon. The king goes to them for advice over decisions that need balanced judgment. And then they're not going to follow what the king says and bow. So how many of you think that a king would let these men live because of this? I mean, people are looking up to these officials, really, and seeing how their reaction is, and they're going to follow the same thing. So the king takes them in and has a little conversation with them and questions them. And the guys are like, no, we're not going to do that. And the king is just raging. And so in Daniel 3:16-18, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego really explain themselves to the king of why they won't do it. It says, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we were thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't," keep this in mind, "but even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up." Imagine the courage of these men having to go to the king, their boss, who goes to them for advice, and say, I'm sorry, no. I'm willing to get thrown into this furnace and will continue to praise God. And if he doesn't pull us out, then it's his will. But I'm not going to do what you want me to do. For us, we may not be in this exact position. And and we may be in prisons of our own. And we don't want to bow. We don't want to go on with what the world is going to do. And so we have to stand up and we have to say, God, we trust you. And we have to say, but even if, these men are saying, but even if God does not pull us out of this furnace, we are going to praise him more than anything else. These men are saying, with everything going on, and maybe it's a storm in your life that's going on, and you need to declare this victory over your life. But even if I don't get my job back, but even if my finances don't get put back together, but even if my health is not where it needs to be, I will call upon your name, I will trust you, I will praise you, and I will care about what God says wholeheartedly and be obedient to what his word says. So the story continues. The king got all mad once again, did not like what these men had to say, obviously. And he commands the furnace to be set to 7 times hotter than it normally would. So the men, these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, get tied up by the king's officials. And they're getting ready to get thrown into the furnace. Now, the furnace is so hot that when the servants of the king open the door to throw these men in, they die because of the heat. So at this point, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego fall into the furnace, and this is what happens while they're in the furnace. It's Daniel 24 through 30. It says, but suddenly Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in amazement and exclaimed to his advisors, didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them in the furnace? Yes, your majesty, we certainly did, they replied. Look, Nebuchadnezzar shouted, I see 4 men unbound walking around in the fire unharmed, and the 4th looks like a god. Then Nebuchadnezzar came as close as he could to the door of the flaming furnace and shouted, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here. Now this is the 2nd time that God has revealed himself to the king in this sort of way. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego stepped out of the fire. Then the high officers, officials, governors, and advisors crowded around them and saw that the fire had not touched them. Not a hair on their head was singed, and their clothes was not scorched. They didn't even smell like smoke. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, praise to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel to rescue his servants who trusted in him. They defied the king's command and were willing to die rather than worship or serve any god except their own God. Therefore, I make this decree. If any people, whatever their race, nation, or language, speak a word against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they will be torn limb by limb. Their houses will be turned into heaps of rubble. There is no God who can rescue like this. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to even higher positions in the province of Babylon. So as you can see, these men survived without even a hair missing, without even smelling like smoke. I mean, seriously, how good is God? I sit in front of a fire for 20 minutes and I reek of smoke. I can't wait to go home and change and get that nasty smell off of me. But these men were standing in the midst of a furnace and didn't even smell. God saved these men, not to prove to the king that God was real or to prove anything against the king. He did this because it was the will of these men's lives. He had saved them because they fully trusted God's plan. They didn't do what the people around them did, but they stood up for God. And they really showed God's amazing grace and love and faithfulness. And I really want to take a second to emphasize that these men didn't even smell like smoke. What that means to me is that God will deliver us. It's not about smelling like smoke. It's that you couldn't even tell they walked through what they just did. And sometimes it's not even about the furnace. Sometimes it's who you're in the furnace with. Sometimes it's who is standing next to you. Are they going to build you up to look for God in the midst of it, or are they going to drag you down and make you comply to everything around you? How can this look in our life to trust God as much when there are times when someone is telling you to do something that you don't want to do and you know that God's not telling you to do it? To praise God in the midst. There are times when I'll tell my story to somebody and I get the response, "Oh, I didn't know that." Or, "Wow, I would have never even guessed." And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I feel like I wear it on my sleeve. And that, to me, it's not because I can get over it and move on. It's because I searched for God in the midst of it. I searched, and it was hard, and I was a new believer, and so I was just hungry for everything. But God did it because He wanted me to know my purpose. He wanted to save me. And I know that in the season that you're in, you may be intimidated. And I want to let you know that you don't have to be afraid. We can stand up for God like these men did, declaring His victory over our lives no matter how it turns up. Just like in a new marriage, me and David don't know what tomorrow or a year or 5 years is going to look like. But what we're going to do is we are going to pray that it will be His will, not our own. That no matter what happens, God will deliver us from a furnace or a storm that we're in, and that we will be able to tell people about it and encourage them to do the same thing, to praise God in the midst of it. It's not about us. It's about God. And I want to encourage you to set time aside. Pray with Him. It's not anything special. I know that you guys will sit in your car or in the shower and talk to yourself, because I do that. So what you can do is just talk to God. Just turn the direction of the conversation. Instead of you, make it about God. Maybe you listen to worship music or read your word. Or maybe last week you didn't get to fast, like Pastor Matt had talked about. I want to encourage you to do that, and God will reveal Himself to you. And if you have questions about what you're reading, go to somebody that will be honest with you about helping you understand what a story is saying. Make you understand how God's going to use something. Now, this weekend around here would normally be Move Up Sunday. Now, I know that we're at a weekend now because of Thursdays, but normally it would be Move Up. And what that means is that the 5th graders would move into 6th grade, our 6th grade middle school class, and we would honor our graduates, whether it's high school or college. And so this weekend, we are going to do that virtually. And so what we want to say to you seniors as a whole staff is that we are so proud of you. Even though we're in the midst of a pandemic, it does not lessen the hard work and dedication that it took to get you to where you're at. And so we are going to celebrate you because you deserve it. And for those of you that have graduated and are going on to college, some of you are going on to the workforce, some of you are taking a gap year, whatever it looks like, I know that it can be hard. From straight out of high school, I went straight to college, and it was difficult. It was really hard. But God is with you. I know that you guys have to choose a major that you will do, hopefully, as a career for the rest of your life. But what I want to do is encourage you, whether you're going to a job force, whatever you're doing, I want to encourage you to prayerfully consider what to do. Don't take the easy route. I know college is hard. I know work is hard. I know taking a gap year is going to be hard. But the Bible doesn't say that life is going to be easy with God. What it says is that with God, it's possible. With God, it's possible. And I want to take a few minutes to let you know who these seniors are, who these graduates are, and where they're going. So Kyla Boyer is going to George Fox University. Josh Elgin is going to trade school. Cameron Everett, University of Washington for education. Savannah Harvey, Florida, to pursue becoming a youth pastor. Gabe Heckman, Everett Community College for fire science. Morgan Humphrey, School for Art and Design, Phoebe Klingman, Everett Community College for Elementary Ed, Emily McCammett, Central Washington University for Education and ASL, Riley Mason Holder, Umpqua Community College in Business and Marketing, Cross Country and Track, Chelsea Minnick, Skagit Community College for Nursing, Madison Morgan, Eastern Oregon University, Physical Education and Volleyball, Haley Pauley, Grand Canyon University, Elementary Education, Christina Pettit is going to Arizona or LA for cosmetology, Madison Ploutz is going to Skagit Community College for nursing and basketball, Hannah Primrose is going to Grand Canyon University for teaching and mathematics, Rain Rader is going to Washington State University for Scholar in Mathematics. Ava Ronning, Skagit Community College. Ariana Schruman is going to be a National Guard. Isabella Tabaris is going to Bellevue College for Communications and Public Relations. Riley Vanscoy is going to Ellsworth Community College for wrestling. Liam Waldale is moving to Eastern Washington. Now, I just want to take a second and tell you guys I'm so proud of you and that you guys are going to do amazing, amazing things, and I cannot wait to see them. Now, again, for everybody, I want you to know that no matter where you're at in your lives, whether it's going from high school to college, middle to high, elementary to middle, whether you're going to a new job, whether you're welcoming parenthood, whether you're getting married, maybe you're single for a season, whatever it is, I want to remind you to trust God wholeheartedly, that He has a plan, and although it may not be easy, it is for the good. And although we can get through, we can always get through it, it's another thing to have the same courage and trust for God that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had. And we will come out of it without even smelling like smoke. But if we do, we will continue to trust God. So God, I just want to take a moment and I just want to praise you, Jesus. I want to praise you for the fact that we don't have to come out smelling like smoke, but even if we do, you are still good. That you are still going to use it for the good, God. You are so faithful, God. Your promises never fail, and they're not going to start now. God, I thank you for your faithfulness, God, for the courage that you give us, God, the purpose that you give us in our lives, God. I just pray that you would continue to walk with us, God, continue to extend your hand, God, that people would continue to build relationship with you, Jesus. I thank you for all that you're doing, Lord. In your name, amen. Have an awesome week.
That was such an awesome message from Kalona Seta, and I am so proud of our youth pastors. I just got to tell you, I am so excited to have them lead all of our kids. And Kalona came here 4 years ago, radically came to know Jesus, and she knew David from her past, but then they got really, really close, and as you know, they've gotten married, and they have been influencing our kids. And when I say our kids, I actually mean my own personal kids as well. Our youngest, Madison, who's graduated this year, has been with Kalona ever since she first came here, which is really, really cool. And I'm so thankful for them and want to encourage you guys, be there for our seniors. They need encouragement right now. It's very rough on them not to do all the celebration things that they normally do. And we just want to celebrate with them and do everything we can to honor you guys. We're so proud of you. We love you. And we're praying for you and we are with you. I want to remind you all that you can give to Life Church 360 in several different ways. Those of you who want to share your tithes and your offerings with Life Church 360, you can text, and when you text, it goes to the phone number 77977, and then in the memo line, you would put LC360 space APP, and then the whole dollar amount. And what that would do is take you through a secure site so you'd be able to give. You can also go to the website, and that's lifechurch360.com, and then click on Give Online. And a lot of people have set up to where they do a weekly or a monthly, so they don't have to do it every single time, and it just does it automatically for you. You can do that. Either way, you can give every time, or you can set it up automatic. And then those of you who want to still send a check, you can send a check, and here's the address on the screen. And we're so grateful that we get to minister to our community. That's what we want to do. We want to continue being a blessing to our community and to our world. So God bless you guys. Have a great week.